So yesterday we learned how to divide polynomials using long division. Well, I'm going to teach you another method. It's called synthetic division. I think you're going to like it a lot more than long division. Synthetic division omits all the variables and the exponents, so you don't have to worry about dealing with variables and exponents. And then also uses addition instead of subtraction. And it's much shorter. The reason they call it long division because it's long. Okay? All right, so let's take 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 1 and divide it by the quantity x plus 1. So what you want to do, just like you do on long division, the first step, the thing that you're dividing into, make sure none of the exponents are skipped over. So my largest exponent on this polynomial is 3. So I got to make sure I have all the exponents that come after 3. So what's after 3? 2. I got it right here. And then I got an exponent of 1. Got it. And then this -1, the exponent on that variable will be 0. Okay, x to the 0 power is 1. So I got all the exponents. So I don't have to put any placeholder values. So here's what you do. You're going to list out the coefficients of your variables in order from largest exponent to smallest.
Dominic Ingram to the main office, please. Dominic Ingram to the main office, please.
So my first coefficient is 3, second one's -4, 2, and -1. So you just get rid of the variables, you get rid of the exponents. Now you're going to put a little box over here. Inside this box, what we're going to do is we're going to put the value of x that makes this thing I'm dividing by equal to 0. So let's take what we're dividing by, x plus 1, set it equal to 0, solve for x. So -1 on both sides, x equals -1. So inside this box, I'm going to put a -1. Now I'm going to skip a line. I'm going to leave this a blank space here and draw a line under it. Okay? So now here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our first number, the 3, and I'm going to drop it below my line that I drew. Now any number that you have under this line, you're going to take it and multiply it by the number inside that box. So you're going to take -1 and multiply by the 3. -1 times 3 is -3. So what you're going to do is now you're going to write that answer above the line over here. And then you're going to add these two numbers together. So you're going to add -4 plus -3, which is -7. And then you're going to do the process all over again. You're going to take -1 times -7 and write your answer over here. -1 times -7 is 7. 2 plus 7 is 9. And then take -1 times 9, which is -9. Add these together, you get -10. Alright? So what I have here are the coefficients and the remainder of my answer. This last number is your remainder. Okay? These are the coefficients of your answer. The coefficient of your answer is always 1 degree less than what you started with. What I started with was a cubic equation. It has a degree 3. So my answer is going to be degree 2. So this 3, I'm just going to bring this 3 down. And then I'm going to add my variable to it. So it's 3x squared. Then I'm going to bring the -7 down. And -7 is in the x to the first power. And then I'm going to bring the 9 down. That 9 is positive, so I'll put a +9. And then this last number, the -10, is your remainder. So my remainder is -10 over what I divided by, x plus 1. If you would have done long division, this would have been the answer that you got as well. So again, if you forgot what this means, is if you take 3x squared minus 7x plus 9, and you multiply it by x plus 1, okay? If I was to multiply that all out, what I would end up with is, let's see, I would end up with 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x plus 0. And then you add your remainder, which was negative, you end up with 9. Okay, so we would end up with 9. So we would end up with 3x cubed minus 4x squared. What was next? Plus 2x plus 9. That's not what we started with, because remember there was a remainder. So if you add your remainder to it, which was negative 10, then you get 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 1. And that's what I started with. But we were asked to divide, so this is my answer. This is just a method for checking it. You could multiply this out by hand, and you end up with this, then add your remainder to it, and then you get back what you started with. Alright, so let's look at another one. So, example 5 here. It says determine if x plus 2 is a factor of the expression below. Now, if you remember back to yesterday's lesson, how do I know if something's a factor of it if I use long division? If the remainder is 0, then it's a factor. Remember, if the remainder turns out to be 0, then what you're dividing by is a factor of it. But if the remainder is like 2 or negative 10, then it's not a factor of it. It doesn't factor into it evenly. That's why it has a remainder. All right, so we're not going to do long division because that's too long. So we're going to use this new method that we just learned. So again, make sure you got all your exponents. 3, 2, 1, 0. Add them all. So what you do is you list out the coefficients. So my x cubed has a coefficient of 1. My x squared term is a 7. My x term is negative 5. My term that doesn't have an x is negative 6. And then I'll put a little box over here. I'm going to draw a line under this. What do I put inside the box? I put in the value of what I'm dividing by, right? I'm dividing by x plus 2. So what I got to do is I got to set that equal to 0 and solve for x. So minus 2, minus 2. So x equals negative 2. So that's the number that you're going to write into your box. So again, the first step is to drop your first number below the line. 1. Then I'm going to take the negative 2 and multiply by 1. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Add these together. 7 plus negative 2 is 5. Take negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Add these together. Negative 15. Negative 2 times negative 15 is 30. Add these together, you get 24. So the remainder is 24. So is x plus 2 a factor of it? No. X plus 2 is not a factor. Because when you take x plus 2 and divide it by this polynomial, what you end up with, remember, your answer is always 1 degree less. So if it's 1 degree less, this is a cubic. So this would be an x squared. This is your x term. This is your term that doesn't have an x. And then this is your remainder. So I would have ended up with 1x squared, or just x squared, plus 5x minus 15 plus 24 over x plus 2. That's how it factors. Well, it doesn't factor, but that's how it divides into. Alright, so let's try this next one. X cubed plus 8. Is x plus 2 a factor of x cubed plus 8? I'm going to move it down here so I have some more room to work. So again, we're going to look at x cubed plus 8. My biggest exponent is a 3. What comes after a 3? A 2. I don't have an exponent of a 2. So just like we did on long division, you got to place a placeholder value. So we're going to put 0x squared. What's after 2? X to the first power. I don't have x to the first power. So I got to put another placeholder value. So there's my x to the first power. And then after x to the first power, we get x to the 0, which is just an 8. So when I use synthetic division, let's list out the coefficients. So remember, there's a 1 here in front of the x cubed. So we got 1, 0, 0, and 8. Put my box over here. Remember, what am I dividing this by? I'm dividing it by x plus 2. So what goes into the box? The value of x that makes this expression equal to 0. So take x plus 2 say equal to 0, minus 2 on both sides, you get x equals negative 2. So I want to put negative 2 in my box. So now let's do synthetic division. Let's see what we end up with. We're interested in what the remainder is. If the remainder is 0, then this x plus 2 is a factor of it. So we drop the 1 down. Take negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. 0 plus negative 2, negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. 0 plus 4 is 4. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Add those together, 8 plus negative 8 is 0. So this is a factor. So x plus 2 is a factor of x cubed plus 8. So what that means is x cubed plus 8 factors like this. One of the factors is x plus 2. Okay? And then the other factor is this. And remember, your answer is always 1 degree less. So it was a cubic. So this is your x squared term. This is your x term. This is your constant term. So the other factor would be x squared minus 2x plus 4. The remainder was 0. It goes into it evenly. So this is how I could have factored x cubed plus 8. Using division is another method for factoring.